Hello everyone, today we'll be setting up Tailwind CSS in a pure HTML CSS vanilla project. So let's get started. First I will create a directory named Tailwind CSS Studio and we'll open Visual Studio Code into this. Let me open up my integrated terminal. And let's generate an empty package.json file quickly. So this is the generated one. And let's install Tailwind CSS. Meanwhile this is being installed, let's create the index.html file. So I'll quickly create an empty so this was done using Emmet. If you are using Visual Studio Code, this should be familiar. And let's create a Tailwind css.css file. Yeah, cool. So Tailwind CSS has finished being installed, and so as you can see in the documentation, you can go to Tailwind css/docs/installation. We need to add these utility classes. So now you have to run the command tailwind init. What this will do is this will generate an empty configuration file for you to extend the theme colors, add various plugins, and the option to purge the CSS. So we'll get into purging later. So let's just build this CSS, because this is a post CSS and this would not be used in the browser because the browser would not be able to understand this. So we need to convert it into normal CSS. So what we will do is we'll run a command called tailwind build tailwind.css. This is the file name of the file which is here, and which is in our case tailwindcss.css. -o, this stands for output, and the name of the output file. In our case it would be style.css. So this will build the CSS file, and you can see it's quite large. It's 1.979 MBs, and here is the CSS file generate. As you can see, it is quite large. It's approximately 86,000 lines. So this is not an optimized production build, but yeah. So let me open this with live server. Yeah, here we go. And you can see we haven't linked our CSS. Classic mistake. Yeah, sorry. We have, as you can see, the CSS Tailwind CSS has kicked in, and you can demonstrate it by using some classes like text. Yeah, text blue 900 or like 600 text 5XL or 4XL. Yeah, so as you can see, this is working fine. So now what we want to do is, now if we inspect this and go to the sources file, here you can see the style.css, and the complete CSS is being rendered onto the client side, which is not good considering it has a very large size. So what we need to do is we need to purge the CSS in order to reduce the file size. So you can go to Tailwind CSS docs and you can read here in controlling file sizes. So there is an option in the Tailwind configuration file to add the files in which you want to purge the CSS. So in our case, we don't have a node environment set currently, so we'll be using the manual configuration. So let's copy this and move this to our configuration file right here. This will select all the HTML files present and purge the CSS. So what the purge CSS utility does is it compares the CSS classes with the main CSS file and only includes the one that are being used. So if we again run this command, npx tailwind build, you can see the size has been drastically decreased, 11.38 kbs. And you can also confirm it by reloading the page. And as you can see, the file size, the CSS file size has been reduced to 634 lines only. So this is a production quality build. So what else you can do? You can add a start script, like a build script. Yeah, so what we can do is we can create a build script. So remember, we are not using the CSS file, so Tailwind CSS. So in that case, it will install the Tailwind CLI, and this is a developer dependency. And thus we can run Tailwind build Tailwind CSS dot CSS -o style dot CSS. So let's wait for it to finish. So yeah, this has finished, and if we run npm run build, so this will build the CSS every time we run npm run build. So yeah, that's it. That's how you set up Tailwind CSS in a pure vanilla HTML project. Thanks for watching.